Screen share now. So should I have share screen clicked already? Okay.
Hello, hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crypto Talk with Brianna and Scott. How you doing today, Brianna?
I'm great, Scott. So happy to be here as always. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, you can't quite see, but I got my Kansas City shirt on today because every Friday in Kansas City, it's always Red Friday. That's what we call it. Now, I'm not in Kansas City. I'm in Montana now. So tomorrow, I'm going to a University of Montana football game. So I'll have my Grizzly shirt on tomorrow.
Very nice. You always bring the color. I tried. I'm still not bringing the color, but you bring it for both of us. So
Oh, yeah. Well, what's your favorite color?
I'd have to go with blue. I like blues and greens.
All right. Actually, those are my favorite colors too, blues and greens. But on Friday, I'm usually in red. Awesome. All right. So, did you have a good week? Was this a good crypto week for you?
Oh gosh, it was a weird crypto week for me. A lot going on in the news in multiple directions, just in our economy. And yeah, there was just so much. I didn't quite know which way I wanted to go this week. I have a light-hearted article I'm excited to share because I was laughing at this article, and so I wanted to keep it light a little bit, but I also wanted to bring in some actuality of what's going to be coming in. But overall, I have a weird feeling about crypto this week. I don't know what's happening. Just kind of in this middle part where I feel very unsure. Are we going to move up? Are we going to go back down? I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. What are your feels?
My feels are, I agree. It's just kind of a weird time in crypto now because it's up and down, up and down. But in the last, well, I'm trying to think, really since the Fed decided to bring down inflation, or as inflation got up and we knew the Federal Reserve was going to start bringing it down. That's when I really started to look at the broader macro picture of the economies. And I think we mentioned this before, but when I got into crypto a couple years ago, and really detailed, a year ago, I really thought crypto would be a hedge against inflation and the debasement of the dollar and the dropping economy. And we're finding that's not the case. The markets are all tied together, and so I try to pay attention a little bit to that because the main financial markets, traditional financial markets, are driving crypto to a certain extent. And as I've also mentioned, so that gives me the macro picture. But as I've also mentioned, I really look to DeFi for my focus in crypto. And DeFi isn't as much affected by that because you're really earning yield or interest rates on these DeFi protocols. Now, interesting thing about DeFi is that even though it's basically like putting money into a savings account and earning interest, it's so completely different than the traditional financial market because you're typically what you're doing is you're either staking a coin and you're basing that on the protocol. And so if crypto's up and down and that protocol is doing good, the value or the price of that coin will go up and down, which will affect the interest rate that you get. And so that's the interesting part. But generally, it's not a super one-to-one. Like if you're investing in Bitcoin and the stock market goes down, Bitcoin's going to go down. It's a one-to-one, pretty much. So, that's what's been interesting. And so I actually, before we even get started, I'm going to actually pull up an article that kind of just talks about the general market right now. And then we'll get into your stories. But, this is a guy I follow, this Sam Blumfield, and he's just summarizing. A lot of people do this, but at the end of the week, they sort of summarize the week. And like we were talking, crypto, it says here, traded resiliently over the past 5 days, but it looks like it might have established a price floor. So it says that the cryptocurrencies are trading slightly higher as the market looks to claw back after a 2-week period of sharp sell-offs and it establish a floor price. Going forward, both crypto and the traditional financial markets are expected to continue reacting to the surrounding Federal Reserve's interest rate policy. So that's what I was basically talking about. It says last week, cold water was poured on investors' hopes for the pivot, and worries of the U.S. entering a recession were reignited in the response by Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments that he promised to do whatever it takes to restore inflation back to 2% historical norm. So that's kind of what I was talking about. So that's what's made it, when you're following crypto and the reason it's gone up and down, you got to follow the Fed stuff now, which, again, I've mentioned this before. 2 years ago, I never would have done. I thought that was the most boring stuff to pay attention to, in the world. And now, I never would have thought, even when I got into crypto, I never thought I'd be listening to, the Fed chairman's, speeches. But now it's all related and it all makes sense to me. So I do.
So do you think that, because I haven't ever followed it until I got into crypto either. I mean, like you said, I had zero interest. But it seems like there's been a lot happening within the last, this year alone. This isn't typically how much things are moving around, is it? Doesn't it stabilize at some point and kind of remain the same? Okay.
It does.
Good to know.
It does. But what's interesting is that so I look at it in these bigger chunks. So you had the 2008 financial crisis when all the banks almost failed and it took the economies of most of the world down, and then we had to bail out a lot of the banks. So the Fed, the federal government, U.S. federal government, printed out a lot of money and tried to save the banks. Interest rates were still really low at that point. Typically, when the Fed prints money to bail out either us or banks or whoever, that's going to keep, inflation's going to creep up. And it didn't really. Other things happened in the economy that inflation didn't really creep up. But after the pandemic, it happened again. The Fed printed a whole bunch of money, opened up the balance sheet and put money into our pockets to save us, all from, not all of us, but save a lot of people, that were out of jobs. I'm not debating that was good or bad or anything. It's just that when you do that, inflation typically creeps up, and this time it did. So I think we had this confluence this year from the pandemic. Things started catching up, and so that's why it seems like this year, wow, it's all over the place, and it's really intense, and it is because inflation got up to 9%, the highest in 40 years. So it's a big deal. And so then now the Fed is having to do something they haven't had to do in a long, long time, which is really get aggressive in, raising interest rates, which just slows everything down. So yeah, 3-4 years ago, we didn't have to worry about that. And it wasn't like this. And so Bitcoin, when it was going up and down, kind of was doing it on its own. But now everything's tied together.
See, and this is what I mean when I say I'm kind of not unsure of what's going to happen, because we have some people saying we are rising up from the down. So we've been hit with the ramifications of what of the money printing and all of that, and that we're on our way back up. But it seems like the majority of what I see and what I hear is that this is the beginning of the worst of the worst kind of happening right now. That we're going to see real estate, that we're going to see, that we're still going to see crypto see its lows, and that we'll see another crash. That side is where I've been leaning more toward of my thinking, but now I'm hearing more of this other side coming in, and now I'm just confused.
Yeah. And that's thing, in these kind of things, nobody has the answers. And I think this is what really pushed me away, years and years and years ago, especially when cable news started coming on. It just like everybody was talking, and it's the same thing with politics and finances, and everybody's got an opinion on the economy based on this, and it really turned me off. So now, as I come back into it, I'm really trying to pick and choose who I listen to, and a lot of it is I try to find some really good people, on the internet now, because one of the guys I love to follow is Raoul Paul of Real Vision. He not only do I just appreciate his view, but they bring on all the different people that are in the trenches right now, of investing and trading and finance. And so they cover both traditional finance and cryptocurrency. He's a big cryptocurrency fan, but he's got a background in traditional finance. I'll tell you what he is saying lately is that he thinks that we've already hit the bottom of both the stock market and Bitcoin. Crypto, mostly Bitcoin. He thinks that's not going to go any lower, that we've gone as low as we're going to go. He bases it on lots of different factors, but we're in a recession. Some people debate it. Doesn't really matter. The Fed's trying to, crush inflation. This does everything to slow everything down. So I get it why a lot of people think that this could get ugly, and it's fragile. It could, but my sense from the people I listen to is that it's not going to crash, that we're not going to crash, and that we've hit the low, and we're going to trade sideways, and we're going to be in this little kind of wishy-washy thing a little bit until we figure out what the Fed's going to do, how the economy is going to react. So I think we'll just kind of muddle around for the rest of the year, and then we'll see in the first and probably second quarter of next year. That's my opinion. So we'll see.
We will see. That information diet is important, isn't it?
Isn't it interesting how that's the first time we've done that we've gone that deep into like traditional economy stuff and finances and whatever, which is fun. And that's why I love this show, because we just go kind of where it takes us. So speaking of that, why don't you go ahead and share your articles, and we'll dive in. And let me say before we do that, anybody that's watching live, if you want to, we welcome you. Thanks for showing up, and put a comment in there. Let us know that you're watching, and if you want us to cover any topics, or you have something that you'd like to bring up, go ahead and put it in the chat. If we get to read it, we'll bring that up. And if you're watching on the replay, also put some comments in there, and we'll see if we can talk about it next time on the show. All right, hold on. I think I still have to assign your screen. Oh, is that? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Oh, I'm missing a screen, Brianna. Hold on. Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah. I think that'll do it. There we go. Oh, that did something weird to your microphone. Hold on. That's weird. It turned off your microphone. Let me see if I can. Is there anything I can do to that? Oh, wait. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. We
There
good?
you good. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Go
Can,
ahead.
can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
so this is an article I had to share. It made me laugh, and I am curious what you would do, Scott, in this situation. So, Crypto.com accidentally transferred $10.5 million to a client instead of $100 in a refund. And there's our little picture here. This is from Cointelegraph, is this article. I always love
Bitcoin's
all
falling out of the sky.
of yeah, pretty much. So what happened here were two Melbourne women. This is their names. I'm going to butcher them. Manivel Thiva Manogari and her sister Gangadori Thiva Manogari
Wow.
received 10.5 oh, received 10.5 million Australian US dollars deposit from a Singaporean crypto exchange Crypto.com after Crypto.com made an error in issuing a $100 refund. That's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be $100. Instead, they received $10.5 million. So instead of the refund amount, an employee allegedly typed an account number in the payment section, resulting in an erroneous transfer to their bank account. The incident occurred back in May 2021, but was not discovered until an annual audit in December 2021. So the sisters had from May to December to spend their millions. After filing a lawsuit, the Victoria Supreme Court recently ruled that the funds must be returned to the company. However, it turns out that Manivel had already spent 1.35 million worth of the funds on a 5-bedroom luxury home in Craigburn. She was ordered to sell the property and return the remaining funds or face potential contempt of court charges. The case will return to court in October. And the lawyers in this case said there is no doubt that if you saw that in your account, you would know it shouldn't be there. And the onus is actually on you to call the sender and say, look, that shouldn't have come in to my account. So unlike crypto transactions, which are final and irreversible, as we know, and as we learned, Scott, that if we were to send our crypto to the wrong address, there's a great chance we're never going to see it again. But it is possible for centralized financial institutions to reverse erroneous transactions. However, given the time it took to discover the error and the funds from Crypto.com were transferred out of the original account post receipt, a simple transaction reversal would have been impossible in this instance. So I found
That's
that kind of
fascinating.
funny. And I'm curious, Scott, if this happened to you, if you woke up one day and you had however much that was, 10.5 million in
Yeah.
your wallet, what would you do?
Well, now that I clearly know the law, no. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because wouldn't you love to at least just do something, crazy or I don't know, or boast about it or post it or do something funny, because yeah, you can't do that. But and it is interesting because so it's funny and it's interesting because at the end there when you started to talk about the difference between a centralized exchange making a mistake versus if you and I had, of our millions of dollars, if we, accidentally sent somebody 10.3 millions of dollars in crypto, uh, that'd be a different story. Now, I don't know. I guess we couldn't get it back. We couldn't reverse the transaction, like you said. I don't know. But I would assume that the law is probably the same, right? If somebody found that and then they knew it clearly was a mistake, they would under law have to give it back somehow to us. It's just that the mechanism might be different because if it was purely decentralized, um, they're unless they notified us somehow, we would never know. And I think you're right because it was a centralized exchange that did this. They noticed it and they were able to track it to whoever they landed on. Now we can do the same thing, I think, through the blockchain, which is the cool thing about blockchain. You can track out where the person is, but it wouldn't necessarily we wouldn't necessarily be able to find that person. Whereas on Coinbase, since you have to have KYC, if it, yeah, that's why they could find that person. But on a completely decentralized, if it was, from my MetaMask wallet to your MetaMask wallet, there'd be no KYC, so it might be hard to find out who. So, yeah, good story.
Right.
I saw that too, and it's funny because I was going to have it, and then I couldn't find it at the last minute. So awesome that you got it, and I love this one with the picture of the coins falling down.
I
I
know.
love
I
that.
love that picture. I just love all of the creativity that goes into this artwork on the articles.
Yeah.
And I think that I kept asking myself what I would do in this situation. I didn't really ever have an answer, but I think what I will do if I ever just see a crazy amount of crypto in my wallet is I'm never going to seek out where it came from and just hope that somebody sent it the
Just because
wrong
they
way.
love you, they're like,
Just
oh,
because
that Brianna, man, she deserves 10.5 million. Yeah,
and I'll never pursue it, and then I
I
can't
get
be
it.
in the wrong. I'll just think it was a mistake or it was purposeful. But if you don't know who it's from, then how do you contact them, right?
Right, and so you would spend it. So um, I thought you said you would just ignore it, and just let it sit there.
I don't know if I
No,
would want to spend all of it. I mean, I would maybe invest it and get more off of it. I don't know.
there you go.
I
Stake
try to be
it.
wise about it.
Stake it and earn 3.5%.
Exactly. I'd probably give it to you to stake because I can tell you're getting good at staking, and I'm ready to take notes on that any day and get
All
on
right.
your staking game. But okay, I'll go on to the next one. I'll move on to the next article. This one's not as
Wait,
funny.
before you move on, a friend of mine, Donna Stokes Allen on here says, never again for me. So Donna, I think I've heard you say this before. You're scared off of crypto. Did you lose money in a scam or a rug pull, or just invested when it was higher and it dropped lower? If you want to throw it in there, just I think it'd be interesting because I lost money in the Terra Luna issue, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you can call Terra Luna a scam. It's not really a scam. It was some people do. All we know is there's millions of dollars that were lost. But yeah, Don, if you want to put that in there, I'd be curious. So, anyways, all right, Brianna, go ahead.
So I'm glad you brought up Terra Luna because I have another one. I'm on stablecoins. I'm going into stablecoins today, a little bit into regulations because we're starting to see some of those come through in California on stablecoins. So, like you said, with Terra Luna, that wasn't necessarily a scam, and I don't believe that there was intention behind that project to scam anybody. That's just my personal view. That was an algorithmic stablecoin, and we still have other stablecoins that are trying to be created that are algorithmic stablecoins. As we went over a couple of weeks ago, Aave has their Go one, but there's just a lot. There's a lot of emphasis, and there's just a lot going on with stablecoins because they well, I'll get into the story. This is what California wants to do. So California Assembly passes crypto regulation bill that requires bank issued stablecoins. And I've read this article a couple of times because I'm trying to really understand what parts of this mean. So maybe you can help me get some insight on this, Scott. But so California Governor Gavin Newsom is set to sign a recently passed bill that would require digital asset exchanges and other crypto companies to obtain a license to operate in the state. The Digital Financial Assets Law, dubbed California's BIT license, takes after New York's BIT license regulations, which came into effect in 2015. California's law, if signed by Newsom, a Democrat, they're throwing the political sides into this, would go into effect in January 2025. While the newness of cryptocurrency is part of what makes investing exciting, it also makes it riskier for consumers because cryptocurrency businesses are not adequately regulated and do not have to follow many of the same rules that apply to everybody else. Assembly member Timothy Grayson and Bill's, lost it.
Lost it.
We'll get back to it. Here
Blew
we go. There we go. So that was said in a prior statement. Among the requirements is a prohibition, which would be phased out in 2028 on California licensed entities dealing with stablecoins, unless that stablecoin is issued by a bank or is licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. This is similar to a proposed and never passed bill in the US Congress that would require stablecoin issuers to have a bank charter. Another clause in the stablecoin section of the bill would require stablecoin issuers that hold securities as a reserve to have an amount not less than the aggregate amount of all of its outstanding stablecoins issued or sold in the United States. In addition, the bill stipulates that the aggregate market value must be computed using the generally accepted accounting principles of the United States. GAAP is a common set of accounting rules, standards, and procedures issued by the Financial Accounting Standards Board. So the Blockchain Association, an industry trade group, tweeted that the bill would create short-sighted and unhelpful restrictions that would impede crypto innovators' ability to operate and push many out of the state. And it's the second attempt California has made to create a bit license regime. The first in 2015 failed and was made dormant after opposition from a state senator. Within California's assembly, the bill received 71 yes votes and 0 no votes. 9 members of the assembly abstained from voting. On the Senate floor, the bill received 31 yes votes and 6 no votes, with all 6 no votes coming from Republican senators. So here's where my question was, because when I first read this, I thought that this was saying this definitely needed to come from a bank, basically, a centralized bank. But then when I reread it, or it could be from a licensed California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. So I'm not sure what that entails, to be licensed under that. But I found this interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Look at you go. Wow. You waded right into it. Heavy. Yeah. I don't really understand the nitty gritty of this either. And, it's interesting because we knew that this was going to start happening, and it's kind of just coming all over the place, which is frustrating for everybody in crypto, that there just doesn't seem to be any organization in how to regulate crypto. It's just like every governor, senator, regulator out there is just throwing stuff, at various areas in crypto. And that's frustrating. And so nothing has really been passed, nothing, as far as all of these. And so, it takes a while to let all this stuff sort of shake out. It kind of sounds like first of all, yeah, I don't like this. It sounds like it's way too much control. And so even if it doesn't have to be a bank, they want it to be like a bank, to do this. I don't know what the implications of that, other than it sounds very similar to just taking what we have now and plopping it into crypto, which I'm not a fan of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. That's how I feel about it too. And so I guess my questions too, if this is passed in California, if this is happening just in California, and as we see this bill, as this blockchain association says, that it would push many out of the state. So I'm wondering if this is going to include any users of stablecoins, or just people who are, is this the users of stablecoins who can't use stablecoins outside of ones that are created from a central bank that are living in California?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. My first thought was that what they mean is that it will push out businesses and people that want to start new crypto projects. It'll push that away, because if they think it's going to involve a stable coin, they're like, oh, I'm going to be regulated. I'll go to another state that can. Now, that being said, what is interesting, if you look at centralized exchanges. Each state there are a bunch of states that don't allow certain exchanges, centralized exchanges, and so each state can regulate how you get into crypto. It's funny because I was just putting together some slides today for my crypto for the rest of us program, and I had a slide about that, and so it's interesting because I have a slide that shows like different states and then what exchanges, centralized exchanges, are allowed in each state. So it could be like that, and so what that means is that if you're in a certain state, you can't use Kraken or one of these because that state has said we're only going to allow Coinbase or whatever because it seems to fit our whatever. So in that case, it does preclude the user from using certain exchanges. That could be the same thing in this case, maybe. And that is the problem with this, and if you think about it, it's not just a crypto or a finance problem. It's our political party problem. We're on the same thing in, lots of different laws, in different states now that are adopting laws that, the federal government isn't adopting, but state by state. And, that I still think we have the greatest, political system in the world, even though sometimes I'm so frustrated and I'm a centrist, so I'm in the middle, so I see both sides. And I'm just saying that because different countries are going to do their own thing. Some countries are very lenient on crypto. They want it. I think that the U.S. they want to be competitive. They don't want to be left out of this thing. But the government also wants control, just like every government does. So there's this balance between the two. And we'll have to see. And if we're crypto fans, I do think that we need to make our voices heard to our representatives about how we feel on certain bills. I think last week I brought up that Coinbase had a petition that talked about regulation, and I didn't read it in detail, so I'm not saying that I've actually signed up for it because it is obviously going to have Coinbase's best interest at heart, and I'd have to kind of look at that generally, and it's probably weighted towards their interests, but in general, I think it's a good idea for us to get involved and voice it. And, shows like this, where we bring up stuff like this, that's, this was a little heavy, but, it's interesting, and it needs to spark the discussion. So, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. I think you nailed it too. Just not forgetting that our voices are heard and making sure that we express everything we can, whether that be writing letters or, and talking about it. So yeah, I like that point there too. And like you said, there's going to be a lot to shake out. I think it's going to take years and years before we're just kind of running fluidly in the crypto space. And we just have to be along for the ride and be ready for everything. And hopefully be a part of guiding it into a positive direction in any way that we can. So yeah, that's what I have. Let's see what you brought forth this week.
All right. I'm just going to I always sort of just grab these sheets. Here's one. So I have a few articles, hopefully if we have time here to get to, that aren't even all crypto related, but just were really interesting to me. But this one, let's see, can we see this? Yeah.
Yep, you're up there.
So this is interesting. So it's a Bored Ape, of course, a very famous NFT collection, and this venture capitalist, what's his name? He's on here. Oh gosh, I can't remember what his name, but you know what? Oh yeah, Adam Draper, a big time venture capitalist, has this Bored Ape, and there's this service. So now I gotta bring up. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So now I want to bring up this website because basically that article led to this website. So there's this cool website that you can get a message from a celebrity. You can buy a message, and actually the celebrity will create a video, and then you can send that to somebody with that celebrity. But this was a Bored Ape. So it was this message of the Bored Ape talking to his followers, this Adam Draper. So let's see if I
All
can.
right. Board Ape 9132 here, aka Adam Draper. I am a venture capitalist. I am an investor. I am a managing director at Boost VC. I was the first investor in Coinbase, as well as many other companies. I am so excited through my partnership with Cameo and Aquifer Motion to be able to connect with you through my Board Ape.
So could you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Hopefully everybody could hear that. So I don't know. I think that's funny. The cameo appearance thing is kind of interesting. Like I said, you can have any actor, and it's funny how a lot of actors. It's like it's a couple $100, and you could send a message to this to that business that he mentioned, Cameo, and then you get to pick your actor, I think, or whatever, or celebrity, and they will do a video, and you can send that off to somebody. And I just thought, well, that's kind of cool. At first, I'm like, I'm not sure I'd do that. Would you do that? Would you hire an actor to send a message to somebody for you?
Okay, if I had just all the money to spend on things like that, then I had a friend last year who did the cameo for his daughter. It was her birthday, and it was she had the biggest crush on this kid. I'm not sure what he is. He's a little actor guy. I'm not sure what his name is. And he did this whole cameo, that was personalized for her. And then he said like facts about her. He's like, I know that you're in theater and you're into all of this stuff. And he's like, and I love you. And and it was all this whole inspirational thing. And we caught it on camera at her birthday party. And she was just beside herself. She was like crying in tears and so excited.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
after seeing that whole experience, then I could see it for reasons like that. Or even as a joke, I could see it for like a coworker or a family member if there was a fitting person as a joke. So I think it's a super creative idea. And I also saw that article as well. And I thought about
Really?
doing it, but I was a little bit worried about having to do a video. I didn't know if I could get through that with the technical difficulties that I have sometimes. So I didn't bring it forth, but I'm glad that you did.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that. I'd never seen or heard of that sort of cameo thing before. And it did show, I went to the website and it showed people just crying, like so excited. I don't know why. I've always been sort of a curmudgeon that way. I don't really get excited. I never go up and get art autographs and stuff, but people are just blown away. So yeah, I'm, and it's really affordable too, which is cool. So yeah. Anyways, so that's fun. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, so here's one that kind of gets at kind of that regulation stuff. But this thing called FedNow. Have you ever heard of this thing called FedNow, Brianna?
I have not. New
Okay,
concept.
interesting. Yeah, well, I'd never heard of it either, and it's been around a long time. It doesn't surprise me, but let's dive into this, and then we'll have some comments on it. It says the Federal Reserve has this platform and been working on it to enable nearly instant payment settlement within the U.S. What this is that let me just read it. It says the Fed now launched in 2020, or it's going to launch in 2023. It is the most specific the Fed has been about when the service will go live. The payment system is a critical part of American infrastructure that touches everyone, according to this guy in the Fed. It says consumers probably don't realize that every time they swipe a debit card, it costs the merchant an average of 23 cents. Those costs stack up and ultimately get passed on in sticker prices. The FedNow platform, meanwhile, will cost a fifth of that to make a transaction. How it works is the FedNow is a platform that the Fed will provide to banks to build on top and create payment features in existing or new products. Products enabled by the FedNow will have nearly instant settlement around the clock. Interesting. So it says FedNow is not a blockchain-based product, and it's not a central bank digital currency, CBDC. It still very much relies on third parties to operate, for example. But if it catches on, it would make money as we know it more competitive with cryptocurrencies by lowering the cost to transact and providing a low-risk settlement around the clock. Okay, now, this is just, it's interesting because this is the precursor to this stuff. A lot of things are happening, and, generally there's nothing wrong with this system and sounds like a good thing. It's going to save people money. But what do you think's going to happen with this? Yeah. It's going to lead to them being able to, it's probably the first step in laying the groundwork for a CBDC. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. But that's what my little skeptical mind is telling me.
Yeah. I had the same feeling about the stable coins being issued by a central bank as well. Just kind of bringing in these little, just kind of working their way in wherever they can.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand with this Fed now. So this it'd be lowering the transaction costs for the merchant. So the merchant would use the Fed now, and they would not have to. Okay.
So it's basically going to be connected to Visa. That was the thing. It didn't say anything, but Visa, MasterCard, all the credit cards, all of the Venmo, PayPal, all that stuff. That would all have to be connected in there, and that they didn't talk about at all. So I don't know what that is. And it's interesting if it, almost in a way it could replace all of that, which that would be interesting because I don't think that would fly, but it sounds like the things are ready to roll out. So it must connect in with all of that stuff, but just provide a layer that is the basis of all transactions, and speeds it up, makes it cheaper for the merchants, and then ultimately cheaper products and services, I guess. So yeah, that's what that is. But it really does sound like the precursor to that. But this is technology moving forward. We know that governments are trying to, move into digital transactions in every area of our lives. And so it's not that surprising. And I would have known nothing about all of this stuff until I got into crypto and then started to hear about this CBTC thing, which I kept thinking, well, why, when I first got into crypto, that was one of my big questions. Why isn't the government doing this? Why aren't they doing this? And the answer is they're trying to figure out how to do it, but not decentralized. They're trying to figure out how to do it in a controlled manner. And then a la CBTCs come out.
Right. I kind of see it as, go ahead. I see it as, we have technology that is created all around the world, and then people that just come in and take it and use it, and that's my negative outlook as how I view, the government getting involved and the Feds getting involved. And I also see this I can't remember what it's called already, the app that you were
Fed
just
Now.
talking about. Yeah, Fed Now. As taking away from independent businesses who have created lower transaction costs. There's other, I think the less that can be in there for them to be banking on, or the more for us to be, of the people to be banking. We should be banking on these things, not the Fed, kind of the way that I see it. But that's just my view.
No, I totally agree. And what's interesting, the thought occurs to me that, we have this now very robust cryptocurrency system out there, that has this whole decentralized finance, DeFi, area. And it's just growing and growing. And it's replacing all of these traditional financial applications out there. Everything you can think of pretty much that you would do with a traditional financial institution can now be done in decentralized finance. It's new. Sometimes it doesn't work quite the same. And it's so new and moving so fast that it's a little bit scary right now. But it is there, and it will just get better and better and better. So we do have the option to now use this new system. But what we still don't have is peer-to-peer not necessarily peer-to-peer. We can transact peer-to-peer now. You and I can send crypto back and forth to each other. People that love this show could send us crypto if they wanted to, right? They
Feel
probably
free to.
should. Feel free to, yeah. But what we don't have is that one to many, that me to a merchant or you to a merchant or whatever, right? Quite yet. And that will be the sticky one because that's the one now the governments are all involved in, that it's all centralized. We've got Visa, MasterCard, Venmo, PayPal. You've got all this stuff, all running non-blockchain, all centralized, authorities. So I don't know what's going to happen or what it will really take to have the utopian, I want to buy a coffee or a pizza with my Bitcoin or whatever, right? I think we're a long ways from that. And what we'll see way before that's even, again, my opinion, way before that's even close to being inevitable is we'll see these central digital currencies, CBDCs, we'll see these pop up first. And that's what we have to be so vigilant about because like this Fed thing now, they're trying to paint it as a rosy picture. I don't know. Maybe it's the first step in laying the groundwork for a CBDC, and they're just trying to make it all sound really good. Of course, they're going to do that. They're going to make the CBD sound like it's the best thing in the world. And we just have to be really vigilant and careful the way they word this and not buy into it. But so there is that. But I think we need to embrace and to celebrate the fact that we do have DeFi, and we can do a lot of things without, centralization in the blockchain. And so, celebrate that.
Definitely. Have you ever had thoughts in your mind, and you don't have to answer, but do you ever question getting as much in as possible into DeFi before CBDCs come out? I will say that I have. Just because I'm concerned once CBDCs are rolled out, and there's really no going back from that. And that's where, but then I'm a little bit worried if I'm stuck, if I have things in my decentralized, in my wallet, if there's something comes out to where I cannot take that out in the future type of thing. These are kind of the questions that linger in my head when we hear about the CBDCs, because they do want to know with CBDCs exactly where our money's going. And they want to, where this could go is to have it be where we wouldn't be able to send money to certain places that would be blocked off.
Right.
That's worst case scenario. I mean, that's
yeah.
But
that's
it's not
very, very draconian. And if it, it'll probably happen in places in the world. I just can't see that happening in the U.S. anytime soon. But if things got really weird, like our economy starts to crash and we got really some weird stuff going on, and there's some grabs for control, that could happen. And it's interesting because my first thought was, well, even if they roll out these CBDCs, we'll still have the ability to use crypto if we want. But you have a good point. We still got to get our fiat into crypto. And so maybe your first comment was, and you kind of cut out there, but I think what you said, have I thought about getting people into DeFi before the CBDCs come?
Well, getting as much as you have, like into that you would like to put in, and have it be decentralized, like stored decentralized before the CBDCs are rolled out.
Yeah, I do. But I'll just say I'm trying to. My whole program right now is really geared towards people that are looking to create their retirement savings from crypto or to catch up, because right now in the traditional markets, if you haven't saved enough for retirement, you're not worrying about this much, but I am. You can't catch up in the normal traditional finance. So crypto you can, but you got to be smart about it. And that's where I'm really, trying to find the risk reward ratio. So I guess the long answer to that is, I'm trying to get all as much as I can in there, really to build up my, my savings and my retirement, when I'm not bringing in any money anymore. That will be a good hedge against, anything crazy like that happening. The problem with it is it's just not that simple. It really isn't, because crypto is still so new. There's just so many unknowns, and that's what I spend a lot of my time on right now. And frankly, that's what keeps me up at night, is trying to provide really good education on how to get into DeFi. And I'm not a financial advisor, neither are you, right?
Right.
Right. So we're not giving financial advice here, but we're saying here's what we're trying and here's what we're doing. But it is, there are still and this is what really frustrates me. People put out code into these projects that's either not secure enough or breaks. And that's what's frustrating. But I guess, that's the speed of innovation. And that's why it's not a simple situation. And it's frustrating in a little bit because there's all these cool ways to invest your money now in DeFi. And yet, there's no FDIC insurance, right? And there's nobody, to bail you out. And how do I know that this Joe who has this cool, crypto DeFi protocol didn't write some lousy code that a hacker can't just get in there and hack? I hate to be negative, and I'm not trying to be, because I'm really excited. Obviously, I'm here. But that's what keeps me up at night. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of trial and error and a lot of experience in this. And I know when I first started, I thought I was going to come in and master this, and there's just no way. I don't think there's ever a way to master it because it's evolving so quickly, like you said. But it's exciting. It's all very exciting. The more time that goes on, the more I just feel safe and cozy in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's my next task then, is to help you feel safe and cozy in DeFi. I'm actually not there either, but there are some areas. That's what I'm taking it slow. I'm finding, here's the safest place there is, even though none of it's completely safe. Here's the next, and here's the next, and diversify. Which is standard across, financial. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but diversify, and that's the plan. The system I'm putting together. So I'm going to rattle off a couple of these fairly fast. So we got time here, but these are things that I just thought were interesting as I saw around as I was searching for interesting things to share. And I thought this headline was really funny. It's like Meta, right? So, a lot of people are not big fans. If you're a crypto fan, you're like, how dare Zuckerberg try to get in here? And he only, tried to name his company after one of crypto's and Web3's really pride and joys, eventually the metaverse. But after 177 billion in investments, why do metaverse graphics still suck? I mean, that's quite a bit of a generalization, but apparently, I don't know if you saw this, and I don't have a lot of detail to it, but this picture of Zuckerberg in the Meta metaverse. This is what it looked like, and apparently it's terrible. And they call it like the dead eye. He's got dead eyes, and it's just terrible. And people were just panning it so bad. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people you and I know are big fans of the sandbox, and I get it. But look at those graphics; they're like Legos running around, So, but at least I think what's cool about the sandbox is that everybody knows that they're kind of blocky Lego things, and we're exploring what a metaverse can be and not worrying about it. But it is funny. Did you see this or hear about this deal with Zuckerberg?
Okay, I did. I saw the picture. I read the headline, and I saw the picture, and I just was like, man, yep, that's pretty bad. Because I ask that regularly, which I think I would take the sandbox over that any day. But
yeah.
That I didn't read. I didn't know that was Zuckerberg, but now it's very clear that yeah, I agree. You do wonder
where
the graphics are. There are projects that have some incredible graphics that just aren't quite as they're not up front in the headlines. I'm not sure why. But I think that with Olivium, there's a little bit more, and Cross the Ages, there's a little bit more with the graphics when it comes to metaverse gaming. So I think there's some cool stuff out there, but yeah, that's not looking too good.
Well, and there is a little bit difference between true metaverses and games, right? Because games can do different things than like a full metaverse that needs to be a full-on metaverse, although Luvium is doing both. And I guess, that's actually more my view of it, because I guess some people consider the sandbox a gaming situation. But to me, one that people don't talk about enough is Landian. Landian is one that's to me, it's got the best graphics out there, and it's basically where Illuvium and the Sandbox are kind of game, like they're kind of bringing gamers first. It's kind of their first audience, I guess, that they're trying to create for. Landian is more just it's you can do anything. It's not geared towards any specific type of person or player or viewer or anything, and it's supposed to represent the world as best it can. And it's quite interesting. I haven't actually been on it because I can't figure out how to get into it. It's not easy to go into it, but it's going to be an interesting one. All right, this is a quick little thing on Argentine province allows millions to pay taxes using stablecoins. Here you go, Brianna. Check this out.
Ooh, stable coins.
So it's a province in Argentina, which is cool. So it's just this province that says, hey, we want to, have our users pay taxes in stablecoins. And so basically they can use USDT or DAI as stablecoins to pay their taxes. And they basically just whip out their wallets and they scan a QR code and boom, they can pay their taxes with stablecoins. And the reason this makes so much sense is their inflation rate is 64%. So yeah, I'm thinking you'd want to pay with anything other than their inflated currency. And so at our little measly 8.59% here, we're kind of whining, but it looks a lot better to use a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar at 8.5 inflation than 64. So people are doing stuff. And this is cool because we'll see how this works.
That is cool. I really like how a lot of these smaller countries are really just going full bore and
just going for it. They got nothing to lose. Yeah. At 64% inflation, they got nothing to lose.
Right.
Here's a fun one. Bored apes are everywhere, and now they're on your M&Ms. Check that out. That's just crazy. This is just so funny. I don't know if we should talk about this because I don't have the article up in front of me, but did you see any articles this week about owners of bored apes and moonbirds are given rights to basically do anything they want with their particular bored ape? And so they can now, like this person here that did this, I think is just somebody who bought a bored ape, his particular one, and now he's selling it and getting millions of dollars for that merch for that one bored ape. And so there's a lot of controversy. Like, should a person that buys an NFT that now has ownership rights, but the artists and everything created this, should the individuals now be able to benefit by marketing their particular NFT somewhere else? Or should some of that go back to the creators of the system, the platform, the artist? I don't know. It's fascinating. I didn't realize that individuals were doing this, making millions of dollars just reselling the rights to advertise their NFT. Fascinating.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big. That's going to be a big deal, I think, coming up.
Yeah.
Here. Here's another cool thing with NFTs. I just real briefly, Ticketmaster now is getting into using NFTs as tickets. That's huge because we always knew that NFTs would be really good for like concert tickets and football games and stuff. And now that Ticketmaster's in here, wow, we're all going to be using our NFTs on our phones for our latest concert pretty soon.
Yeah. It's already been happening a little bit. Maybe not.
It has.
But the Kings of Leon did this, and they had some really cool things along with their NFTs, where it was the whole digital album. They received tickets and front row tickets to any Kings of Leon show that they ever want to go to. I mean, and then every time an NFT were to get sold past that, so if that person were to go and sell that NFT, Kings of Leon would still get royalties with every sale, with every purchase. And so there's just a lot of opportunity. I think it's really cool. I think there's going to be so much kind of along the lines, like you said, with that Bored Apes one, but with the M&Ms, But I don't know. I'm leaning toward let the person who buys the NFT do what they want with the NFT, and um, they
Yeah.
made a killing off that NFT in the first place. So I think there's room to share.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You're right. Yeah, the owners, the creators made a killing off of it, and a lot of people, reselling them and so on. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That was the original sort of really cool thing about that was that for the first time now, a piece of digital art could be you could tie that to the person, and so if that means you're tying it, that means you have copyright, right? Well, not exactly. Every NFT that gets minted is different, and that's another thing. It's like the wording in the smart contract is different on every one. And so when you're minting your own smart contract, something you need to think about. You can put in there as much or as little of rights transfers as you want. That's what I'm thinking at this time. But yeah, it's so. Kevin Rose, I've been a big follower of Kevin Rose. He's the founder of Moonbirds, which is another. It's new, but it's getting really big as far as like Bored Ape type fandom and prices. And I've just been a fan of his for a long time. And I think his view was, as is the Bored Apes currently, that yeah, if you buy this, you can do whatever you want with it. But there are others in the NFT space that aren't like that at all. They don't give you those rights. So it's fascinating. NFTs are going to be so big. They might be the biggest thing in crypto and metaverse down the road. And it's so funny because it's the one thing that people laugh at so much. They're like, people paying millions of dollars for these stupid apes. But they missed the boat really behind it. Like, and yeah, I would never, and I kind of laughed that they would pay that, but it's the technology behind it. It's what it's going to bring and change, totally disrupt so many industries. That's going to be fascinating.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to play a huge role in everybody's lives. And I think they'll be a very great thing too.
Do you have
We
any
see a lot of,
NFTs?
we still are kind of in, do I have any NFTs?
Yeah.
I have one that I did within the course that we took together. So
Right.
I did purchase an NFT that it resonated with me just for the reason of the course, which I was excited
Yeah.
to purchase my first NFT. It's called The Trippy Migrant Mother. So it's after that artwork of the migrant mother who it was during the Great Depression, and she has her
Oh.
two
Wow.
children. She has three. So she has two children on her shoulders and one across her lap. And she just is kind of looking off. You'd probably recognize the photograph
Yeah,
if you
it
saw
sounds like I brought. You'll have to show us next time. Bring it on.
I
Show us.
will. I'll save it for next time, and I'll bring it up on our next
Yeah.
one.
Well, it's interesting because in that course we took with Real London, yeah, he encouraged us to not only buy one but to mint our own. Did you mint one?
I did. Yes, I did. I'll have to bring that. I'll bring that next time too. I did, and I
Bring
would
it
like
next
to
time too.
actually build a whole collection with the one that I didn't plan to. I didn't. Yeah, I'll go into that whole story. So okay, we'll do an NFT segment next time, and I'll bring my
Okay.
purchased and minted NFT. Yeah, it was a
Well,
lot of fun.
you were a star student. I was not a star student. I kind of said, I get it. I'm not doing it. So I didn't buy one or mint one. I will at times. It's interesting because as I'm looking at news all the time, all day long, in different areas, I really, for a long time, all these different areas, NFTs, metaverse, DeFi, crypto, Bitcoin, whatever, all, caught my attention. And I really had to just narrow it down. So even though I find NFTs fascinating and I want to spend some time there and the metaverse and stuff, I really just am focusing on DeFi. So for the most part, in general crypto and in DeFi, but I really am interested in looking forward to the time where I can get a little more time to do that because I have a great NFT idea in my mind. I would love to own some. I'd love to have like a little plot in like a metaverse where it would I could show my NFTs. I don't have the bandwidth right now to do it, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
Yes, we will. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks everybody for listening and watching, and please pass this on to your friends and let us know what parts of the show you liked, what was boring. I mean, we got into some heavy, kind of thick stuff today. Hopefully, we got into some fun stuff. and didn't ramble too much. So yeah, let us know. All right,
Yeah,
Brianna.
thanks, guys.
Thank you for everything, and we'll see you guys next time on Crypto Talk with Brianna and Scott. Bye.
Bye, guys.